Hello, my name is Sabrina. Excuse me. From Falius Creations, and this morning I want to show you how I make the jewelry tags. So let's get started. Um, so the first thing you're going to need is honestly whatever fancy shape, but my fancy shape is this. Um, I'm not really a big fan of this because this is my second one I bought, and they tend to break right there. But you know, this one only cost me $5, so this time it was okay for if it breaks. Well, never okay for it to break, but anywho. So the first thing I wanted to show you is these two printouts here. So what my husband's done is he plates these tags, and as you can tell, it's different. I've kind of changed it up a little bit, but on one sheet of paper. So when this gets printed out, I can just, I can cut them long ways. And if you see, right here's the scissor mark because when we do shows, if it's okay with the customer, we cut it right there so we can keep the tags and the name of the products on here and the price. And then they can go home with this tag, and on this side is the price. So he did that. And then the second thing was this cord. Now, this right here, he programmed, well, not programmed it, but he measured out this shape, and then on Publisher, he designed that to where we can punch it out directly. And let me show you one. See that? See how that punches out exactly to fit in there. Okay. And when we do, it comes out like this. So I have tons of these all ready to go. And then the second thing we need is the solid white side. This side right here where we're going to put the price and whatever information we want. So now there is a little issue with this that I found. I'm gonna show you this. This right here is a box that we use, and this box is really thin. It's thinner than a cereal box, so I definitely don't recommend it because I believe that's how I broke that middle piece right there. Is trying to punch it out of a cereal box. So I make sure I use this. I have used little Debbie boxes, cake boxes. This right here, I think is a ravioli box. So these are thin enough. And this is an oatmeal box, but they're thin enough to be able to use this punch. Okay, so I punch these out. So now, right here, every back is different. So this one right here, and this came from the box I just showed you with the Paw Patrol. This is already white, but I still want them uniformed. So I will use a punch out of this. But the thing of it is there we go. We got two different colors now. And a lot of the boxes are not. They're either lighter or darker. So that is why we use this. We use a plain white sheet. Now what I had been using, because if I use this on a solid, there's no problem. But some boxes had designs on front and back. So let me get one. So this one right here has this blue streak on it. Now, and I want to show you this. Well, the camera ain't going to show it too good, but once I glue it on, you could see that line. And this right here is, from index cards, you can get some that's blank, and this is from it, and it wasn't thick enough to cover it. This right here is a sheet that I got from a printer, and this is a really thick sheet of paper, and even with the black on this side, you can't see through it at all. So that's the other thing I recommend. And what I do is cut out a bunch, or we cut out a bunch, and there that is. So we take our deal at a time and we glue them. And this is my glue of choice right here, is tacky glue. Now my husband hates this glue because it's not forgiving at all. If you put a thin amount on, which you do need to put on this, because if you get a thick amount, that one kind of shows it how it starts, messing with the paper. But you get a thin amount, you put it on here, it dries in no time, and you're ready to go, okay? So again, this is my preference. My husband's preference is like Elmer's glue, where it takes a little bit to dry. It may take, 15 to 20 minutes to dry, but it's forgiving. You can move it around, okay? Okay, so now we have this. We have our little stash of these. Let me show you a better one. Of these that has the printout on and the white piece of paper on the back. And this is what I use. It's a little bitty, it's a little bigger, I'm sorry, smaller than a regular hole punch, but it is just big enough to get my needle, guys, which I've misplaced. There we go. Is to get the needle, and this is a really big needle, So, but it's just it's good enough for me to work with my hands, because I don't do these cards, and then they can go through that hole punch. Well, if there's a hole through it, and these does not have holes through it. So anywho, so we're going to punch the hole in it, being careful that I don't go over any numbers, any letters whatsoever. There we go. And these go very easily through here. Now, the reason I'm not mentioning what type of thread it is, and you can tell that it's a kind of thick thread, but is because whatever you want to go through there, like you can get a regular size hole punch, and you can use a pretty ribbon to go through there. But for me, I don't like the distraction of it, and I use just this thread to make the little cords coming out. So guys, we got that. We've made the card. We've punched a little hole in, or whatever size hole we want. And now what I use to go around it, let me show this to you again. There's a nice little gold hint. And that's just because of that side. I hate that side. It's a little pet peeve. So then what we do, and again, let's shake up this ink. You can use gold ink, you can use silver ink, you can use purple. That is totally and completely up to you. I'm just going to use this little sheet of paper. So, shake it up real good, open that up. Now, be careful, because I don't know if you ever dealt with ink before, but it can get very messy. And then what I do is just run it over top of it. Now, guys, I have not been happy yet with whatever, if I just get a pen or pencil and try to do this. This, because it's ink, it just soaks down right into that, right into the paper really, really well. And then I turn it, making sure I don't get on my hands, because it will be very messy if it gets on my hands and then all over this tag. Okay, and then I go right around all the way around, and I put ink on it. I sit it down and definitely let this dry, so ink will not be everywhere. And unfortunately, I just don't trust ink, because what happens is if there's dried ink right here, I'm sorry, say I want to try to reuse this. If there's dried ink right here, I feel like the second that wet ink comes in contact with that dry ink, it kind of like reactivates it and it gets all over everywhere. So I make sure whatever I use is another new clean piece of paper. And then I have this. So I have all of these cards that I have um, rolled up. I'm sorry, that I didn't roll it up. What that is, I kind of like to bend it twice. That's the 1 and 2 where it goes right there. And then we clip this hole in it there. Usually I try to, very important, I try to put this in between the this sheet, in between that fold. Okay, clip that. Hold it just a second. See there, that's a reed. I put it down on that and it started running. There we go. So then I take a tag, and I like to turn it this way to where, you know, you flip it over, you can see it, because I'm going to put the price right there. And then people always flip it over, but the price is going to be there again. Then I take it, put the thread through it, another hole not punched, and put the tag through it, the thread through it. I usually don't do this part. So I'm going to cut it off there. But I need a lot of room when I put this on here. Okay, because of my fat hands, I guess. And I like to tie 1 knot and just leave enough to where I'm going to guesstimate it be right there. See that? Because you want for people to be able to flip it over and have some room. And it, you know, as you can see, this is pretty tight, but I mean it flips over. Okay, and there we go. There is our tags. Nice and pretty, very, you know. See there? Guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, and continue beating.